Absolutely, no doubt about that. And I appreciate the way you gave an account of how things are at the moment, globally, as well as you gave a kind of a detailed idea of things which are there out there in your country in Brazil, right? It gives me kind of a complete picture of how things are turning out to be in major parts of the world and especially out there in Brazil for that matter, right? At the end of the day, we need to understand that we are going to be in a state of, we can say, of comfort. We are going to be in a state where there'll be lesser of problems in our lives, especially associated with nature, only when we are actually taking care of nature, right? If we are not taking care of nature, then obviously there'll be situations when we will find that we are often facing natural disasters, like the way it's happening out here in India, for that matter, like the way it's happening out there in California, for that matter, right? And also, in major parts of the world, like you said, out there in Brazil, many a times you observe that there are small or minute or minor earthquake is actually felt, and the magnitude of the earthquakes, though it is very minor, right, and recorded very low on the Richter scale, but still it's a major concern if it is happening every now and then, right? Given the fact that this Brazil doesn't really lie in the epicenter of the earthquake, right? So it's a matter of concern, and we need to understand the reasons for that. Time and again, people have been talking about climate change and the way it is actually going to affect us, and the implications of it. But little work have been done on the ground, and maybe the whatever we are observing and we are experiencing nowadays, that is actually the repercussion and the ramification of it. So we have to, kind of put our act together to face this situation, and to make sure that we don't really, kind of come across and come under the brunt of nature all the time, right? And I feel that out here in India, the way it's happening every now and then, especially in the northern region, the hilly regions of the country, it is quite alarming and quite shocking for that matter, right? And this monsoon or this rainy season, it's been a mixed response from the nature side. Out here in the eastern side, there has been very scant amount of rainfall, while on the northern region, the rainfall has been tremendous, and it has reached a level where there has been flooding all over, right? And not just flooding, the outcome of flooding had been really, terrible for that matter. It's been the worst flood over so many decades out there in the northern region, and it is alarming. There has been a landslide, right? Landslide has led to many other natural disasters, right? People have actually got affected. People have left their houses. Houses have been, kind of drowned. All people have actually lost their properties, their lives, for that matter. So this all indicates what really is going to happen if we don't really think seriously about climate change, right? And if we just shift our focus out there in the United States, for the matter, California recorded 56 degrees Celsius, and it's actually bearing the brunt of nature, right? And it's been the hottest summer in recent decades, for that matter. So you can understand 56 degrees Celsius is literally, kind of a roasting kind of temperature, and it's difficult to kind of live comfortably in that kind of temperature, right? So it's alarming, it's shocking to say the least, but we need to understand what's the reason for this. We need to do some kind of reality check and figure out what's going to be the kind of kind of the future action to take to deal with this problem, for that matter, right? And also, if we just shift a little bit towards Brazil, North America, right? And you talked about how things are there with respect to the temperatures, with respect to the climate and the weather, right? It's alarming because every now and then, if you face earthquakes, though it is of small scale, it's gonna send a kind of a shiver into the spine of people, right? So yes, we have to ensure that the whatever changes that are happening in the climate, why is it happening? We have to do a proper evaluation of this, and then kind of start working towards it to mend the situation, to fix the situation, right? We just cannot afford to talk and then do nothing with respect to that, right? Yesterday, I was having a lesson here in India, and I spoke to one of my students there. And so I was really, kind of happy to hear that her company had decided to, take some initiatives towards bringing some kind of sanity in the climate, right? By doing a drive of plantation. That means plantation drive. They're going to do some kind of afforestation in the city. So this kind of initiatives are always going to work because businesses have social responsibilities. If businesses they actually take some initiative towards bringing in some kind of stability in the climate, then of course there'll be a lot of changes and there'll be a lot of differences happening, and there'll be things changing to the better side for that matter, right? If I talk about the social responsibilities of business and businesses and their contribution towards making environment uh, a livable environment and a stable environment, I think they have a big role to play because businesses they actually operate in a specific environment, and in order to set up businesses, there are often situations when trees are chopped off, and there is actually a very comprehensive and a major deforestation drive is undertaken. So, with that regard, we have to understand that there is a major responsibility on the part of not just the authorities and the people at large, the citizens, but also the businesses. They have to get their act together and to have to ensure that they actually carry out a frequent afforestation drive, which will lead to more plantation of trees. And if there are more greeneries around, if no matter there is deforestation happening for industrialization purpose, for urbanization, and for setting up residential complexes, but it is also equally necessary that we actually balance the act by planting more trees and increasing the greeneries, right? If we increase the greeneries, then obviously it will have an effect, and it is going to bring more stability in the environment, right? The chopping of trees effect won't really be there if there is a subsequent and corresponding planting of trees happening, right? Because this planting of trees will just balance the effect of deforestation, and there'll be more greener environment and there'll be more oxygen in the atmosphere. So this atmosphere will become more livable, and the air will become more healthier, right? So that is the basic idea. I think people have to understand that the businesses have got to play a major role, especially big MNCs. They have got a major role to play, and not just them. I would say that people at large, citizens of the country, they have a major role to play as well because they are the one who are going to be affected for that matter or be benefited for that matter. So if we actually have greeneries around us, right, in our neighborhood, right, then obviously it's going to have a positive effect on our health and on environment and on our ecology for that matter, right? So every person has got their responsibilities and or his or her responsibilities towards making the climate all the more survivable and livable for the matter. So this is something which we need to understand, and I would not say that it is the act of just one or two individuals or one or two segment. It is a collective responsibility of the people of the entire globe, right? To make this world a better world with respect to environment and with respect to climate. It's not just if one business or one citizen, one person is actually planting trees is going to help fix the situation. It's just that every individual of every part of the world has to understand that it's their responsibility to keep the environment clean and clear, right? And make it more livable. Right nowadays, there are a lot of people who have this tendency of making this environment all the more polluted through their acts, right? Spitting here and there, probably, or kind of accumulating garbage without any reason, or throwing trashes here and there. They also cause pollution in some way or the other, and that also affects the climate, right? So we have to have some etiquettes. We have to ensure that we actually behave responsibly, and we have to understand the kind of etiquettes of healthy living for the matter, right? Smoking at public places, I think it's a complete no-no because that makes others as passive smokers, and if others are becoming passive smokers, then obviously that will have an effect on the health of the people, right? So small things are there which we have to take quite seriously, and if we become more responsible in our act, okay, and make this environment more and more cleaner, then obviously this initiative of ours will actually go a long way in making our environment all the more clean and clear, right? Of course, there are bigger things that can be done, like I talked about the initiatives taken by the different segments, business, the most important segment. as also authorities, the governments, right? They have to also put their act together and make sure that the environment becomes all the more livable, and the climate change that's happening, right? That will actually become more and more stable. CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, that is actually the real reason why greenhouse gas emission happens, and why there are so much of instability all around. So this emission has to be cut and has to be reduced, and brought to a proper stable percentage or stable rate for that matter. Different countries of the world, they have actually unanimously decided and agreed to a lot of climate change agreements. Okay, but not all of them adhere to it. So it's the collective responsibility of the major countries of the world to ensure that they actually take initiatives towards making this climate a livable climate, right? So that's what I can say from my end, and whatever you had to say, that is all good, right? I understand you gave me a kind of brief account of how things are there in Brazil, and I could figure out that it is one of the many countries in the world that have been affected because of the climate change that's been happening all around, right? So Bruno, very quickly, if you could just put in more thoughts on this, and if you have any questions, let's actually talk about that.
All right, Tom Vernal, thank you very much. I think you made a clear an explanation about the climate change and how it is affecting the world, as the temperature are soaring a lot. So I think you mentioned something like the accumulator of garbage, deforestation, or something like that. That is causing, because if we have the climate change, of course, that it uh, do not do not did not do not come from anywhere. I think the human beings are causing the climate change. Because it does not make sense. Uh, and the deforestation, accumulated of garbage, not something like that. Of course, it is causing the climate change. It helps, to cause the climate change. All right, and the just one question. All right, Tanver. Do you think that is what could be the first action that the human beings must take in order to mitigate or to stop, or at least to stop a little bit the effect of the climate change? What would be the first action? To clean the rivers, the sea, or to stop with deforestation, to stop with the industries? What would be the first action that could cause a strong impact or positive impact in the climate change?
Like I said, the direct impact is coming in from direct effect is coming in from the release of CFC, chlorofluorocarbons, CFC we call it, and that is actually causing greenhouse gas emissions, right? So if this percentage of greenhouse gas emission that is happening, if that is actually reduced, then of course that will have a positive effect on the kind of making this climate all the more livable. Of course, greenhouse gas emission is actually the bigger thing, and but there are more small, kind of bigger things within this greenhouse gas emission, right? It's not just greenhouse gas. Gas is actually the micro effect. Sorry, the macro effect, but there are more micro reasons beneath greenhouse gas emission, okay, which is actually causing all the more problem and trouble in the environment, right? So of course, if the green emissions are reduced, CFC emission, chlorofluorocarbon gas emission is reduced, then it's going to have a positive effect on the climate. No?
Okay, very good. Tomer, thank you very much for doing this class. Have a nice night. See you in the
Absolutely.
next class. All right.
I'll see you again. Okay, next week, of course, I'm looking forward to meet you again in the next lesson. And you are doing good. Okay, clear speaking, crisp speaking, speaking to the point, right? Always, going to make you a prolific speaker. You know. So I'll see you again in the
Very
next
good.
lesson. Take care of yourself.
Thank you very
Bye bye.
much for the video.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.